Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Engineer Hussein Mwasapi. So in this video, we'll be looking at how to find the resultant vector, which could be a force vector, given two or more vectors acting along a chord or rope. So basically, we're trying to look or learn how to find the resultant vector, for instance, the resultant force given two or more forces acting along a chord or a rope. Alright, so before we begin, do not forget to like and subscribe to this channel. Alright, let us understand this concept with an example. So it says that the roof is supported by cables as shown in the photo. Alright, so just change the color to red. So it says that the roof is supported by cables as shown in the photo. If the cables exert forces AB, this one here, which is 100 newtons, and force AC, which is 120 newtons here, on the wall, hook at A, as shown in the figure, determine the resultant force acting at A. Express the resultant as the Cartesian vector. Wonderful. Alright, so to find the resultant force, we have to first express force AB and AC as a Cartesian vector. Once we express these two forces as a Cartesian vector, then we just sum up the components and we'll have our answer. Alright, let's do that. So let us start with force AB. Alright, so force AB. So force AB simply just tells us that it's A to B, like that. So we now need to find the position at A and the position at B. So let us determine the position at A. So remember, the reference is the origin, this point here. So from the origin, how do you get to A? So you're not supposed to move in the X or even in the Y to reach A. You're just supposed to move in the Z and reach that point A. So it's going to be 0 in the I plus 0 in the J, but it's going to be 4 meters from the origin to point A in the Z. So we're going to say 4k, like that. Then we can also find the position at B. Now how do we get to point B? From the reference, which is the origin. So from the origin here to reach point B, all we're supposed to do is to move along the x-axis, the positive x-axis, like that. That's all. Just move along the positive x-axis and you reach point B. So which means that point B is only acting along the positive x-axis because it sits on the x-axis. So from the origin reaching B, you'll find that you just move along the positive x-axis. It's not acting in the Z and it's neither acting in the Y. So this is going to be only in the X. So it's literally, if you look from the reference to point B, the position is literally 4 meters. So this is going to be 4 in the I plus 0 in the J plus 0 in the K. So be mindful that when it comes to position vectors, the most important thing is to understand how you get the points. Remember, use the reference and ask yourself, how am I going to get to that point that I'm interested in? So you'll always be given these values like 4 meters here and 4 meters there and 2 meters there. It's just up to you to understand clearly by inspection that if you're looking for the position, for instance A, you only move 4 meters upwards in the z-axis to reach A. To reach B, you only move in the x-axis 4 meters as well. So remember, if you're moving from A to B, this simply means that it's B minus what? A. So remember, I, J, K. So we're going to say B, which is having 4, 0, 0, then A, which is having 0, 0, 4. Then we simply compute, and we'll have 4, 0, minus 4, which means that R, which is the position, is now 4 in the I plus 0 in the J, minus 4 in the K. So that's our position. So once we determine our position, all we're supposed to do is to now find the length. So the length is equivalent to the absolute form of our position vector. So it's going to be 4 squared plus 0 squared plus minus 4 squared. So the length is going to be the root of that, which is equivalent to, this would be the root of basically 32. So the root of 32 will give us 5.65685424, and it keeps on going like that. So if I round off, I'll keep all my answers corrected to decimal places. So the absolute, or the length of the chord, will be 5.66. The units according to the positions that we're having are meters, or even the length will be meters. Then after that we can determine the unit vector. So the unit vector is going to be equivalent to, remember, the position in the I divided by the magnitude. So the position in the I is basically 4 from here. So it's going to be 4 over 5.66 in the I. Then we have 0. So it's going to be plus 0 over 5.66 in the J. Then you have minus 4. Then it's going to be minus 4 over 5.66 in the K. Like that, meters. So this is basically our unit vector. But our main interest is the Cartesian vector form of the force AB acting along the chord. We know the unit vector, and we know the magnitude of the unit vector is 1, and we do understand that the length of this chord is equivalent to 5.66. But our interest is to express the 100 newtons in Cartesian vector format. So we say the force is equal to its magnitude times the unit. So the force is equal to the magnitude, which is 100, times the unit vector, so 4 over 5.66 in the I, plus 0 over 5.66 in the J, minus 4 over 5.66 in the K. Therefore the force, if you compute this clearly, you have 0.6715, just end it there, in the I, plus 0 in the J, minus 70.6715, that's in the K. Therefore, force, remember, we're converting force AB. So we can say force A, B to decimal places will be 70.67 in the I, plus 0 in the J, minus 70.67 in the K. So this is our force converted into a Cartesian vector format. So now that we have found or expressed the 100 newtons force, we now need to also express the other force that is present here, and that other force is the 120 newtons force that is present. Alright, so let's keep hold of the answer of our resolved force AB, and let's do the same thing for force AC. So for force AC, it's A to C. So A to C. Pick the position at A, of which you know our reference is the origin, and to reach A, be mindful that we have the same positions like we had previously, which was 0 in the I, plus 0 in the J, plus, remember, 4 in the K. Then we can get the positions at C, of which the positions at C, you ask yourself, how are you going to get to C? So from the reference point, which is the origin, to get to C, you'll move to B, then go to C. Now, moving from the reference point, going to B, as you can see, if you move from the reference, going to B, you move along the x-axis, the positive x-axis, covering 4 units. So it's 4 in the I. Then after that, you will move along the positive y-axis 2 units. So it's going to be plus 2 in the J. But we've already reached C, so there's no need of us even considering the coordinate of the Z, because C is not even in the Z. So it's going to be plus 0 in the K, like that. Alright, so remember that when you set B to C, this simply means C minus A. So remember I, J, K. I like to use this format because I feel like most people will get accurate results once they do this, because it's quite easier like this. Moreover, it also helps you to just have a glimpse of the understanding of cross products and dot products. Okay, so 4, 2, 0. Then I get for A, which is 0, 0, and 4 there. Then you do that. Put a minus there. Then 4 minus 0. You get 4. 2 minus 0, that's a 2. 0 minus 4. That gives us a minus 4. So basically, our position vector will have 4 in the I, plus 2 in the J, minus 4 in the K. After that, we find the length, which is absolute form of what we have. So 4 squared plus 2 squared plus minus 4 squared. So if we take the absolute form of this, we get our length to be 6 meters, like that. So once we get our length to be 6 meters, we then have to find the position vector. So the position vector, remember, it's the component in the I divided by the magnitude. So now to simplify my values, I know there's a number that can go into 4 and 6, that is 2, there are 2, there are 3, but we can just leave our values like that for now. So it's going to be plus 2 over 6 in the J minus 4 over 6 in the K. For those of you like reducing it, you can always reduce your values. You still get the same thing. Our main goal is not really to find the unit vector. If at all it was just to find the unit vector, I would have reduced this value at this moment. But since my interest is expressing the 120 Newton into a Cartesian vector format, then my main interest is resolving and creating that Cartesian vector format. So my force will be equivalent to its magnitude times the unit vector. So force is equal to the magnitude, which is 120, times the unit vector. So plus 2 over 6 in the J minus 4 over 6 in the K. So remember, the force that we're interested in, that we're looking at, is force AC. So we say force AC is equal to 120 times 4 divided by 6 and I, and that will give you 80. So you get 80 in the I, then 2 divided by 6 times 120, that will give you 40 in the J. Then you also get a minus 80 in the K. So basically, these are the values of your converted forces. So we have managed to convert force AB and force AC as a Cartesian vector, but our main goal is to find the resultant. Alright, let us understand this clearly. Be mindful that we have managed to convert force AB and AC into a Cartesian. Let me erase the top part. Alright, so getting my pen back. I hope the value hasn't. Okay, yeah, it's just okay. So we have force AC. Now, just to give you a recall, we found force AB to be equivalent to this. It was 70.67 in the I, plus 0 in the J, minus 70.67 in the K. So in order for us to find the force resultant, it should be the sum of the forces that we have. So our goal is to sum up the forces we have. So we say force resultant is equivalent to, because if the force resultant is equal to the sum of all forces, then this would be the sum of force AB plus force AC. If I had any other force, could be 3, could be 4, could be a good number of them, just resolve them and sum them up. So remember I, J, and K. So in this case, we're not subtracting, we're summing up. So I'm going to say 70.67, then 0, then again 70.67 minus this side. So it's going to be 80, then we have 40, then minus 80. These are the K values. So it's a plus, like that. If we sum them up, we get 70.67 plus 80. You will get 150.67. 0 plus 40, that's basically 40. Minus 70.67 plus minus 80. This will give you minus 150.67. So basically what you get, okay, let me erase this. Basically what you get is this. So therefore our force resultant is equal to 150.67 in the I plus 40 in the J minus 150.67 in the K. And this is your resultant expressed as a Cartesian vector. Now, this is just food for thought. Let me just give you a side note before I conclude. At times, you might be asked to find or determine the magnitude. You know, they would give you the same question, but they say determine the resultant force, or they said the magnitude of the resultant force here. Imagine they said determine the magnitude of the resultant force. So basically, all you have to do is to do everything we have done, and not just end here, but say, okay, it's a side note, in case they told us to do that. So if they say determine the magnitude of the resultant, I'll just say, okay, magnitude of the resultant is equal to the root of what I'm having, which is 150.67 squared plus 40 squared plus minus 150.67 squared. And the magnitude of my resultant will be 216.8015171. If I round off to 2 decimal places, then the magnitude of the resultant will be 216.80 newtons. And that will be the value. So this is literally how you go about solving such a question under position vectors. Alright, so if you have queries, you can reach me on WhatsApp on the line 077 149 5252. Remember, slow progress is better than no progress. And let us strategize before becoming a statistic, and let's try and push for that A+.